Turn that damn juice on!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day weekend, a long weekend, so there's going to be a lot of things we're going to try to do our best to move through and talk about because college football happened, and boy, did it ever happen. So we're going to talk, of course, Razorback football, turning the page for the next game against Arkansas State this upcoming weekend. We'll have a chance to hear from Sam Pittman. We'll also get into our heavy hitters / best and worst of the weekend presented by HD Roofing and Construction, as well as getting all the college football landscapes and everything that's going on. I mean, Razorback basketball stuff happened today. Razorback baseball stuff happened today. So going to be a busy one here on Inside Arkansas Live. But fellas, hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. How are the vibes here on Tuesday?
Vibes are strong, man. Feeling good. Getting excited about this game this weekend already. And I mean that legitimately. Like I'm looking forward to it. I had fun watching this team play on Saturday, and I'm ready to watch them again. So that makes me happy because I didn't know if I was going to feel that way about football. But you're right, man. A lot going on today. We had a DVH presser, kind of a weird John Calipari presser with Penny Hardaway beside him in Memphis. But it's a lot going on in Razorback land. A lot to be excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Loved hearing from two of our head hogs this morning. Loved also, really, I got to hear from three of our head hogs because I tuned into the Sam Pittman press conference this morning. So really, if you just watch it a day late, you can watch three in one day. But no, I'm excited. You know, we always talk about talking season. We love talking season because that's what we do for a living. We talk. I got to be honest. The overreactions to week one might trump talking season because that's when all the national people start joining the talking. Like the three of us, we talk ball every single day. So it's not a big deal when we talk ball, but it's always so funny when that first game or first week of college football is on and all of a sudden these people that have never spouted any takes ever have groundbreaking, reports of like, oh yeah, this is how I feel. And it's like just hilarious. And I feel like we make fun of it a lot, but I'm like looking around the country and I'm like, geez, y'all really feel this way? Like y'all watch 1 week of football and this is how y'all feel?
Yeah, dude, it's incredible. I mean, that's what also happens too when you have a lot of big marquee matchups in week one, where like we'll talk all about it, but like the Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, those are the ones I think a lot of people give a ton of overreaction to. But also in the cases of some of the upsets that you could throw in there as well. But the point is that with the expanded playoff now, it's maybe a little bit easier to suffer a very early loss in the season and still be just fine. But plenty of reactions, plenty of overreactions to be had. But yeah, Razorback football was great to see. I know, of course, we had all the post-game coverage and all of the things that we did, whether it was the Inside Arkansas post-game show, the accountability session, the report card, all of that stuff. And also, of course, Dudley Dawson with Inside Arkansas Football Recruiting, his podcast, Inside Arkansas Recruiting, debuted this morning here on our YouTube page. So he did a good recap of all the visitors and everything from the weekend as well. So you need to check that out. But either way, guys, the page has to be turned. We had just annihilated every single aspect of what happened over the weekend. We know all about it. We know about the offense, defense, special teams, all those things. We're moving on. And yesterday, Sam Pittman had a chance to meet with the media, and they got to get ready to go down to Little Rock, go down to play this game against Arkansas State. There's no more running from it. There's no more of, okay, it's happening. It's way down the road. Guys, it's this Saturday. And we'll have some clips to play from Sam Pittman, but just getting y'all's take so we can set the playing field. I know we've discussed it ad nauseum, but just to set it, this game in this stadium this weekend, do you feel any certain way about it? Is it just another game? Is it something you want to get over with and move on? Just what are your feelings going into this particular matchup this weekend?
I personally, I don't think it's just another game. I mean, I kind of weirdly agree with most all of what Sam Pittman had to say about it. And I know that, like you mentioned, we'll play the clips there, but you can't ignore the historic aspect of these two teams getting together for the first time. You can't ignore that it's the last game on the contract. They're in Little Rock, and you don't know for sure if there's going to be another one or not and what that's going to look like. All those things are real, and I think that can be true. And I can also look at it and say, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Like this, it's just not what it once was. And Sam was right when he pointed it out. You couldn't even line up and play, an 11-on-11 football game with the kids from Arkansas who play for Arkansas State and play for the Razorbacks. You know what I mean? And so like you always thought of it as, boy, if this ever happened, it would be big bro versus little bro and rivalry. And it's going to be a bunch of pissed off kids that didn't get recruited by the Razorbacks. And there's going to be bad blood. Nah, not really. I think if there's anything like that or any animosity or anybody feeling some type of way about it, it's probably the fan bases who kind of been mouthing back and forth to each other for the longest. So I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's cool. I'm unbothered by it, but I'm not making it anything more than what it really is, I don't think.
Yeah, what I do like about this is that if Arkansas played any random unnamed Sunbelt team and they did it in Fayetteville this weekend, nobody would be talking about it. It would not be this whole thing. And so I like when there's like that extra stake. There's that battle with the fan bases. It's a historic matchup, first time they've ever done it. And you've got the whole Little Rock discourse. So as a guy who talks about sports, I love when we have all these different talking points, but I'm with you where it's like, I also don't buy that this is like this monumental groundbreaking moment in the program's history. It's going to be cool. And compared to some of the last Little Rock games, this should be one of the more exciting ones. I mean, there haven't been a ton here recently. So I'm kind of excited that there's some type of buzz around this game. I'm just excited to see what it looks like. And I'm hoping that the Arkansas Razorbacks make this game not that I'm hoping that all the fun and the stakes and the, big deal of it ends in the first quarter when Arkansas is up 28-0.
Yeah, that's, I think, what maybe Razorback fans that are nervous or, whether it's Pittman or whoever, they're just kind of like, yeah, let's just get in, get out, get a big win and move on. Let's just do that. We can make it a big deal for the fans or for the people that really want it to be. But my stance on this is from the jump is just, it's been the same thing. I get why they did it. They did it for the amendment, the amendum to try to get the game from Missouri out of Little Rock for an SEC game and put it back in Fayetteville. And the only way that they could really amend the contract was to be able to give Little Rock something, because that was the big thing that they had, is they were like, we don't want some crap game. We're tired of playing Stetson or whoever down here. We want a good game. And so they're like, okay, well, then they kind of negotiated, and here's the Arkansas State game. Will you do this? Yes, we'll do this. Boom, boom, boom. There it was. But the thing is I know for a fact that the SEC asked the University of Arkansas to stop playing in Little Rock. I mean, that's what it came down to, more so probably than anything, is that the SEC was like, you need to stop this. You need to stop playing games there. And last time I checked, the SEC provides a lot of money to the University of Arkansas, so they're kind of in control of those things. So they went ahead and knocked that out. So it's a matter of this is happening. No more run from it. I feel like I'm Thanos right now. Dread it, run from it. Destiny arrives all the same. Well, here it is. You got to play them, and you got to take care of business and all of that. So here we go. We got Sam Pittman, which I think even at media days, he made his comments known a little bit about how he feels about this game. But we'll start with the Arkansas State aspect. We'll save the War Memorial aspect because I think it goes intertwined. But here was Sam Pittman asking about this week of game planning for Arkansas State. Is it weird? Is it different? Is it unique because it's Arkansas State? Take a listen.
Well, I think certainly we're the ones with the pressure on us. I wouldn't think that they would have it. That's the reason I'm assuming it's the first time we've ever played, because most of the time it would be our decision whether to play that game or not, so certainly we have high respect for their program. I don't think there's a ton of Arkansas kids, to be totally honest, on their team nor on ours, so I think the rivalry goes from it's the first game and it's the fans, and it is, but we certainly understand the importance of the game. And it's closer to Jonesboro, Little Rock is, than we are. And so I hope that it's packed and that it's exciting and it's the state playing each other. I think we've only played another in-state rivalry or another in-state team maybe 3 times. It hadn't, maybe 1934, I think we played, and 43 maybe. But I think those have all been since I've been the head coach. But certainly Arkansas State's a different story, and certainly a lot better football team than, with all due respect, than the other guys we played in the state. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get this game as it being the first time we've ever played, and I'm glad I'm going to be part of the history of that.
So there was Sam Pittman speaking about it. And I know we talked about it in our group text yesterday, but it's like, I agree with pretty much everything he said and his approach to it. But I also thought it was interesting that he's like, hey, all the pressure's on us. There's none on Arkansas State. It's all about us. We have to win this game and win it big, because it won't be a big deal if we do. But then if we don't, it becomes a massive deal. So much so that there could be a mutiny done. So, but as far as just the Arkansas State opponent itself, I have a hard time disagreeing with anything Sam Pittman said there.
Yeah, same. I agree with that 100% with the pressure aspect of it. Honestly, and I don't know how much Sam is really going to drill this into the head of the team. I know he talked about that a little bit later. He's probably feeling that pressure more than the players and everybody else is, because you're right. This is one of those, buddy, you can't lose this one if you want any semblance of smooth selling this year, my man. So that's going to be a really important aspect of it. And I like that he's, fairly open to that. He's not naive to it and what it would mean if things go south there. And he's right. Arkansas wins this game, whether, by a touchdown or by 6 touchdowns, it doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot for them. So I agree with that. His thing about, hey, it's closer to, from Jonesboro to Little Rock than it is Fayetteville. I don't care. Like you draw 3 times more fans at your games than they do. Like that shouldn't even impact there, but I understand what he's saying. And more than anything, I didn't catch this the first time around, but dang, man, you're just throwing the subtle little shots there. UAPB, poor guys. With all due respect, Arkansas State's quite a bit better, but he's right. And that's what makes this really interesting to me is, if this wasn't Arkansas State and like you said, just some other no-name Sunbelt school or whatever, but you put that same roster over there and they were playing this game in Little Rock, we would be looking at it going, yeah, Arkansas should definitely handle their business here, but this might not be a cakewalk. This might not be easy. So I don't know if it adds more pressure or not because they've got the name Arkansas on the front of their jerseys, but it's not a pushover type of game for sure.
Yeah, and Sam is 1,000% right about Arkansas having all the pressure. Like, there's no doubt about that. And I think lying to yourself and saying anything else would be stupid. Like, making this be like, oh yeah, this is just another game, and it's just whatever. It's ho hum. I think your job as a football coach most weeks is to convince your team that this is the biggest, most important game they've ever played in, and they have to have that real motivation and that enthusiasm. And we know that Sam is not crazy about playing this game. We know that he's not crazy about going to Little Rock. We know that this isn't an ideal situation for him. I love that he's not worried about that right now. That he's just like, look, we got to get our team ready to play Saturday. I'm going to tell him what I need to tell him, and give him this whole spiel about how Arkansas State's going to come at you, bring their best shot, and all that. I think that's all fine and dandy. Because listen, we can have the big picture discussions about what this means and what Arkansas should do moving forward in this game. But for Sam Pittman and this team, none of that matters right now. Right now, it's just you have a game Saturday. Do not do anything stupid. Do not embarrass everybody. Go out there and get the job done, which as a football coach on a Tuesday before your game on Saturday, that should be your only priority. And I'm glad that it is. I'm glad that he didn't take this as an opportunity to do a whole spiel of, well, I'd really like it 3 years from now. It's like, no, you play Saturday. Let's just figure this out. Win this game. We'll worry about it later. And then maybe after the game, you can make some snide comments and be like, yeah, this is stupid that we ever had to play here. You sure you need us to play another game? It's 63-0. You sure you want to play another game? I'm hoping that he has some stuff after the game as like a kind of FU to Arkansas State. But for right now, just do what you got to do. Play the hits. Say how much the Little Rock crowd means to you and convince your team that this is the most important game they will play all year.
Well, and I think the approach he's having, as you said, Andrew, it's the correct one, because I think sometimes coaches get in the coach speak mindset, which we know Sam Pittman has a little bit of, but he's also brutally honest and sometimes to a fault, where it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you say, well, this is just another game, everyone's going to be like, no, it's not just another game. It's more important. But then if you approach it that it's like, well, man, this is a really big deal and a very special game. What? You're having a big deal game with the Sunbelt team? It's like, you can't have, people are going to be upset no matter what. But taking it to the approach of like being aware, I think is what I appreciate about Sam Pittman. He's aware of it. He's not taking it as in like, we're going down this route or this route. I'm aware that this is a big deal to some. I'm aware that this is something that hasn't happened in a long time. I'm aware that this is not just another game, but I'm also not going to sit here and act like it's the biggest deal in the world, because it's not. I'm also not going to go all in and feel like, oh, this is a rivalry and this is going to be something for the ages, because it's not. So I appreciate his awareness from both sides of it and acknowledging both sides, but taking the stance, which I think is the correct one, of just being like, hey, yes, it's there, it's happening, it's a game. But for me, it's just about wins and losses right now. I'm trying to save my job. I'm trying to keep it going. So we're going to approach this one the right way. And I appreciate that from him, because sometimes it's about the awareness that I think translates a lot easier to the fans as well.
And also, you're the University of Arkansas. Like, you're the flagship program of the state here. You're the SEC school in this operation. If anybody's going to be making a huge deal out of it and try to sell it as this huge mega event or whatever, it should be Arkansas State. I don't know if you guys listened to Butch Jones' press conference, on Monday or whatever. I haven't. I should have before we started this show. But I just wonder what he's saying about it. You know what I mean? Is he like, oh, this is just a historic, monumental opportunity, and boy, we want to establish ourselves in the pecking order in the natural state, or however the hell you would sell that? I don't know, but yeah, I'm all for it. If Sam was really, and he'll have the team, he'll be motivating them, having them fired up to play. I mean, that's part of the job. But if he was really using the boys, we're playing Arkansas State thing as a way to light a fire under this team, and that's his battle cry or whatever, I would have a little bit of an issue with that. I think that's for the other guys to do in this situation.
Yeah, to your point, Curtis, I'm going to use a pro wrestling term because that's just what I do here on this show. It's called putting someone over. Whenever you put someone over, if you kind of say, hey, we've got this match Saturday, I need to be as good as I can because this is the best opponent I've ever faced, that is putting your opponent over. And if you, obviously in wrestling, if you get pinned, then you really put them over. But I think Sam has done a good job, to your point, of not putting Arkansas State over. Mm-hmm. Not saying, hey, this is a good opponent. This is a great team. This is a team that I look for. This is a prestigious matchup. He has kind of had that obvious mentality of like, they really insisted we do this. I'm not crazy about it, but I'm going to do it. And we're going to whip your ass just because we can. But I'm like, this isn't a thing. This doesn't mean anything to me. This just means something to you. And I'm going to whip your ass. And we're going to let you know that we can do that whenever we want. And then we're going to go about our lives and we're going to move on and never think about you again. I kind of like the way that Sam Pittman has handled this Arkansas State thing of, because I see a lot of people talk about little brother and, not wanting to give them that shine. And I get that to an extent. But I think for someone in Sam Pittman and Arkansas's position, you should not be worried about whether or not Arkansas State gets shine. It has nothing to do with you. They could get as much shine as they want. They will never be Arkansas. And so I kind of like the way he's like no-sold this of being like, yeah, he'll give the obligatory, hey, we're going to Little Rock, it's a big game. But like, he is not trying to sell anyone on the idea that like Arkansas is thrilled about this game, which I love.
Yeah. Again, it's the right mentality to have. And we'll continue to discuss this, folks. Get to your chats and everything. I want to remind everybody that presented by our friends over at Hickey and Hole Law, things are about to get better for you because when it comes to your legal matters, you need help. You need someone to guide you through the entire process. And there is no one better than Hickey and Hole Law. They handle divorce and custody cases, which they know are so important. And those are the ones you definitely can't face alone. You got to make sure that you're taking care of business and have all of the different representation that you need to help guide you through the process. But even if it's divorce, custody, criminal, civil litigation, personal injury, estate planning, they do it all. And they're going to make sure that they build that strong relationship when it comes to the client and attorney, because it is important. It's built on honesty and trust. And you can always trust and always count on honesty with Hickey and Hole Law. So give them a call today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhole.com. You can scan that QR code on your screen as well. It's Hickey and Hole Law. Things are about to get better. So Arkansas and Arkansas State happening this weekend. And, it's kind of nice in a way, guys. I don't know if you feel this way, because I know we'll move on to the comments that Sam Pittman had about War Memorial and everything. But I feel better that the fact that this game is happening as the second game of the season, because I feel like if it would have happened after a loss, like after an Ole Miss, say if you went on the road and lost, it would kind of be like feeling like you're in a danger zone type thing of like, oh, geez, have they already given up and, wanted to move on from it, or they throwing in the towel, all those things. So at least coming off of that win that they had on Saturday, and I'd say it's some huge win, but I don't think anybody, at least they shouldn't have, nobody should waver as far as if you thought Arkansas was going to beat Arkansas State before the year, there's nothing that should have happened Saturday to make you think otherwise now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like a week later goes by like, I was confident about Arkansas State, but now, I don't know. It's going to be pretty close. I don't think that's the case. So that's what's at least kind of nice for most Razorback fans, I feel like, is there's no wavering. There hasn't been anything that changed from a week ago. It's like, yeah, you still, yeah, okay, cool. But yeah, you got to go out and beat Arkansas State, and you got to beat them pretty handily, and we should. Like there's nothing that's changed from the past weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that Alabama A&M game should have done enough to and we said this going into it, that's going to change the way you feel regardless. And some of the things that we were optimistic about, well, they showed why we were optimistic about it in the first place, like the offense, for example. Some of the things that we weren't so sure about and had some questions about, well, we still kind of have those on the other side of the ball, and that kind of is what it is. I'm with you, John. If this game was happening after a loss or whatever, and you, yeah, I would wonder about that a little bit. If it was the opener instead of the second game, where you just haven't, like, you think about all the unknowns with Arkansas going into this, and if they played Arkansas State on Saturday instead of Alabama A&M, there would be some nervous energy going into that, just because it's 50 new guys. You have no idea. At least we've seen them now. At least I know Omega Blake is a stud out there, and I feel great about that. At least I can look at jersey numbers and know who the players are out there at this point. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this is, if you're gonna do it, it's well placed in terms of where it's at on the schedule there.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. If this game would have been week 1, that opening drive touchdown that Alabama A&M scored, that didn't make any of us feel good. We all kind of were like, oh, where? But none of us at any point during that game, including that drive and after it, were like, is Arkansas going to win this game? It was never really in question. Yeah. That would not be the case. If Arkansas State gets the ball first and goes down there and scores 7, I'm not saying Arkansas is going to lose. I'm just saying, like, we will at least at that point wonder if Arkansas is going to win the game. And that's where it's a little bit different. And for those that want to contextualize, because I see sometimes you like lump, everything that's not an SEC team, everyone's just like, oh, they suck. Sometimes you play Alabama A&M and you're a 48-point favorite, and then you play Arkansas State and people are like, oh, it's another scrub opponent. Arkansas is only like a 21, 22-point favorite, which is not a small margin by any means, but it's like it kind of contextualizes how much more legitimate this test is, but it's still not an Ole Miss, still not a Tennessee or a Notre Dame or whatever. So I think it's a perfect little like stepping stone for Arkansas as they move forward from this season. Everyone says week 1 to week 2 is the biggest jump. Would love to see that be the case for Arkansas, but I also think it's like the perfect level of opponent for you to face before you go to Oxford.
Yeah, it's going to be one that you can still answer some questions and how the approach is going to be. But yeah, I saw that some of the spreads and everything, and I think right now, according to BetSaracen, 23-point favorites Arkansas is at this current time. Over/under set at 63.5, according to BetSaracen. So we'll see how that moves, if it moves throughout the week. But that's about where it stands, and that's why the placement of this, it doesn't matter. You need to go in and you need to take care of business. And again, 4:00 on Saturday in Little Rock at War Memorial Stadium. Scheduling wise, this is the final game at War Memorial Stadium. There is no plan in place to have another game at War Memorial. Guys, real quick, I just thought it was funny that the biggest debates in Razorback sports history on the message boards, like forever, was the great stadium debate and playing Arkansas and Arkansas State. And now you get them both in the same. It's just like it's just crazy how we've made it here. But Sam Pittman was asked about War Memorial Stadium. And I believe it was Tom Murphy that asked him the question simply, is there an advantage? Is there an advantage to you in any way, shape, or form playing a game in War Memorial Stadium? Well, here's what Sam Pittman had to say.
I don't know that there's any advantage for us, in all honesty, to go to Little Rock and play Arkansas State. It's closer for them. It's like when we used to go over there and play Mississippi State. It's closer for them, I just don't know that there's going to be 20, 30,000 people less, but from what I understand, it hadn't been packed since I've been a head coach, and hopefully this one is, and it's as loud as Peyton Manning says it is over there. We sure would like that to be the case, but future wise, I don't really have a lot of say so in that. The games have been over there. History, I still think history of the power of the Hogs in our state is a bunch of it is because we would take the team over to Little Rock. And, there were certainly different times then, less hotels, less television, where the Hogs could go over there and people could drive up and see the Hogs play and turn around and go home. Obviously, it didn't work out so much, driving from Northwest Arkansas over there, but they could still do it. Obviously, the stadium was much better than the one we had here in those days. So there's a lot of things have changed. Television has changed. Guys, has changed everything in college football. So I don't know what the advantage of it is going over there, except for the passion of the state for the Hogs. And going over there, I think, certainly continues that in the state of Arkansas.
Okay, so once again, Sam Pittman, I don't know if he rehearsed this, just saying that was a perfectly well answered question, because he was able to answer everything where he's like, no, there's no advantage to us whatsoever. But I'm going to give you the history of why we do this and tell you, it was good when we did it. And it was good for a long time. There was an advantage for us. And because of the roads and the hotels and, this place had lights and everything. And then the answer with, but, still there's zero reason for us to play. So he answered it perfectly. But, this is something that I know some people feel very strongly about. Some people live maybe in the past on some things. But guys, it's to put it as clearly as maybe Sam Pittman did, maybe more so, there is zero advantage for Arkansas playing games at War Memorial Stadium. And if it's basketball, if it's baseball, I know they play in Little Rock for that. That's different. We cannot compare that. It's apples to oranges. But guys, there's no advantage. There's zero advantage for Arkansas football to play in War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock in the current college football landscape.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it's even more true with Arkansas State, which he alluded to as well. It's like I'm with him, man. Usually we have pretty easy reasons to disagree with Sam Pittman, but I'm 100% on board with a lot of what he's been saying here recently. I got to be honest, man. I like it, but I sympathize with a lot of the people who are partial to that game in Little Rock. I mean, when you grow up in McCrory, Arkansas, you really have a couple options. And you just mentioned how it's interesting how it's like the great stadium debate in Arkansas State, all wrapped into one. And for me, it was, well, we can pay $10 and drive an hour to go to Jonesboro if we want to watch some college football. Or we got to wait until the Razorbacks come to Little Rock. That's just the only way you're going to be able to see them. That's how it is. And yeah, so I get it. And that meant a lot. And I appreciated that growing up. And I still do. It's like, I sympathize to the people who feel that way about it. And like Sam said, understand the history of it, the footprint that the Razorbacks have for the entire state. All those things are true. But you're right. Like, there just comes a point in time where you got to wonder if it's what's best for the program. And, the recruiting constraints that come along with it, taking a game away from your campus, all those other things, that they are factors that matter. And, I know people take it personally and they feel like, you're just being shunned, or they don't care about the fans outside of Northwest Arkansas. And I really don't think it's that at all. It's just the game is changing, and things that matter the most for programs are different now than they were before. And they've had a hell of a time drumming up a ton of interest in those games. And the stadium has been an issue where the toilets aren't working, or the water's running out, or it's this or it's that or whatever. And when you just couple all those things together, I understand why there's also a large segment of folks who are like, let's just, not do this anymore. Maybe just play at Razorback Stadium.
Yeah, Curtis, I like what you said about being from McCrory in that context. It matters. I mean, a lot of people that argue firmly for this game, almost all of them are from that kind of context, whether it's McCrory, whether it's Jonesboro, whether it's Little Rock, whether it's Benton, Bryant, wherever. And me personally, I'm from the state of Louisiana. If you know about where Louisiana is located, Little Rock's a lot closer. There were several years of my formative years as a child and as a Razorback fan where the only games I went to were Little Rock games. I can count on one hand the amount of times I went to a game in Fayetteville before I turned 18 and really had the ability to go to these games by myself. Like, growing up, I didn't get to go to Fayetteville. So I love the Little Rock game. I've had some magical moments there, beat LSU there, pour some sugar on me, like Miracle on Markham, 1 and 2. Like, you don't have to sell me on the idea of why that game mattered and why it was cool and why it was beneficial to people in the southern part of the state, all that. But Sam Pittman touched on a great thing where it was the hotels, TV, all these things that have changed. Because you think about it, when this thing happened 100 years ago, the stadium in Little Rock was better than the stadium in Fayetteville. Not only was it comparable, it was better. Like you said, didn't even have lights up in Fayetteville. And you couldn't see the Razorbacks play on TV. People in the southern part of the state, not only was it more convenient for them to go see the Razorbacks play in Little Rock, it was the only option of them to actually see their team play was then. And again, just things have changed. I don't know why people are having such a hard time grasping that concept. Like, we can have the conversation, we can still have the argument, and we can even see, maybe agree and decide to keep the Little Rock game. But I think people need to address that context, that the context of the game has changed so drastically to where now not only is it not a comparable stadium, it's a substantially worse stadium that malfunctions every time they go there. They don't have running water. The toilets don't work most of the time. They run out of food. It's like people are getting assaulted outside. It's like, that is a thing. Also, the games are way more accessible. Every single Razorback game is on television, is on streaming, is on whatever. You can see the Razorbacks play. I also think just travel in the world has gotten better. Hotels, all these things. And here's another part. It's not like the Razorbacks have had an issue filling up the stadium in Fayetteville, to where if you have a stadium that seats 75,000 people or around there, and you're consistently getting it up or near that number, why, is there really a reason where it's like, oh man, we have to fix this issue and we have to play a game somewhere else so that more people can see the team? I don't think we're having an issue of people being able to see the team. And I understand people say, hey, that isolates the rest of the state. And I can hear that argument. My other argument would just be, why doesn't Alabama not do this? Why does, Georgia not do this? Why does, LSU not do this? Why does, all these other programs do this? And again, we can have the conversation, but it's like, I just think people are having a hard time understanding the context of it and understanding why things have changed. But I loved what Sam Pittman had to say about it, because he does come from a place of respect for Little Rock and for the entire state, because that is a very important part of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Make no mistake about it. Uniting the full state is a very fundamental part of Arkansas Razorbacks. I just don't buy the narrative that if you don't play a game in Little Rock once a year against Alabama A&M, that the state is no longer going to be united around the Hog. That's kind of my argument.
Yeah. And, you guys speak to going to Little Rock games more. I was obviously the opposite. I grew up in Fayetteville. This was the home stadium. And as a kid, I never understood. I'm like, why do we do this? Like, why are we playing at home? It's like, well, it's this, that, the other, all of that. And, I was very anti playing games in Little Rock. And I am still, because of all the advantages and disadvantages or whatever you guys laid out. But I will say, when I worked in Little Rock for 4 years at the Buzz, I became a lot more sympathetic towards it because I understand what it meant to people. But it's just one of those deals to where I think, in my personal opinion, because I know we'll get to chats and everything, you let it bleed out too long. If you would have cut the head off a decade ago, we'd be sitting here right now and wouldn't even be a thought. It wouldn't be something 10 years from now. It'd be like, God, but we still need to start playing games in Little Rock again. Like, it wouldn't have done that. But because of politics, because of donors, because of all this, it's just been this slow bleed to where year after year, it's just hanging on by a little thread. And then finally it's going to go away. Where if you just would have cut the head off when you wanted to do it, you should have just done it and then deal with the consequences after, if there are any. This would have been a completely different thing. But yeah, it just went from 4 games to 3 games to 2 games to 1 game to one type of game, SEC game, but then the final game. But then it just kept bleeding. And now here we are. We're just bled out. Everything's bled out for this. So we got this game, in my opinion, guys, it's going to be the last time Arkansas plays in Little Rock, football-wise, at War Memorial Stadium. To me, in my opinion, it's going to be the last time they play Arkansas State. I fully believe that. And that being said, here's part of our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends over at Alumni Hall, which, by the way, we're going to be there once again. We had a great turnout this past Friday. We're going to be there once again the Friday before the Notre Dame game. So be sure to come out and see us. But hey, they got all their stock right there for football season. All the nicest things you could possibly ask for, whether it's Johnny O, they got Southern Tide, they got Columbia, they got Cutter and Buck, they got it for all. And they have any type of clothing you could possibly imagine for men, women, and kids. And you can shop them online, have it delivered straight to your door. If you're somebody that's going to be going to one of these road games, or you want to get ready for the Notre Dame game, and you're going to be making that trip, scan that QR code, or you can go to InsideArkansas.com/alumni hall InsideArkansas.com/alumni hall. Use that code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. It's your ultimate Razorback shopping experience with Alumni Hall. Guys, the question simply was, this Saturday, do you think this is going to be the last time Arkansas plays in Little Rock at War Memorial Stadium? The last time they play Arkansas State? Do you think it's the last time they do both? Or do you think both of these things will end up happening once again? 49% of you say this will be the last time that they play at War Memorial Stadium. I'm not saying it's the last time against Arkansas State, but 49% say the last time at War Memorial Stadium. 25% say it's the last time for playing in War Memorial Stadium or ever playing Arkansas State. 21% say both of these things are going to happen again. And then only 4.5% of you say this is the last time you'll ever face just a state, but keep the games there in Little Rock. So there you have it.
Well, shout out to Sam Pittman for saying basically that he agreed to play the game because he didn't think he was going to be here by the time they played it. I mean, it's not a direct quote, but that's pretty much exactly what he said. He was like, it was his first year on the job, and he was excited to be the coach at the University of Arkansas, and they wanted him to do it. He was like, hell, I'd play anybody. And then when he heard 2025, he was like, oh, 6 years down the road, I don't even know if I'm going to be here. You are. That's pretty good, man. That was my favorite quote from Sam yesterday during his entire press conference. Good stuff by the man.
There's nothing more relatable than agreeing to do something that you immediately regret once you get to that moment and you're like, oh, that time will just never come. Oh crap, here it is. It's 2025. I would lean, John, on the side of Arkansas. I think they're going to play in War Memorial again at some point. It's not going to be every year. They're not going to redo the terms and, hey, we're another 12-year deal. I would be stunned if we just never see Arkansas go back to War Memorial. Maybe there's some renovations involved. Maybe they can, clean the stadium and like pick up trash or something like that. Maybe we do some of those things. But I think they will play in War Memorial again, whether it's just a one-off or whether it's just a special circumstance. I don't know. I also think they're going to play Arkansas State again. Because I also think there's a lot of times there's this big fear of the unknown. And I think there's so many Hog fans who truly in their heart felt like, hey, if we play in-state schools, bad things are going to happen. And I remember when they lost to Little Rock in baseball back in 2019, and people were like, this is a disaster. DVH needs to answer for this. And like, we're dead serious. They really felt that way. And I think there's a lot of times people have this fear. And then once it happens, you're kind of like, why were we freaking out? Like obviously if Arkansas wins Saturday, that'll be a relieving, okay, we avoided disaster. But it's like, I think there's going to be a lot of fans who realize, yeah, that actually wasn't that big of a deal at all. Like, it's a thing that no one's really going to remember. No one nationally is going to talk about on Monday. It's just a thing that happens. And so I think leaving Little Rock, which by the way, happened in 2022. Arkansas did not play a game in Little Rock. And I know 2020 was a COVID year because everyone that says, hey, if you don't play in Little Rock, you're going to lose the support of the state. Well, why did it not happen in 2022? Did your fandom dip down a little bit? Like, is that really how it is? But I also think when they play when they play Arkansas State, there's going to be a lot of people who are like, yeah, why were we freaking out for 100 years about this? Like, it's really not that big of a deal. So I don't know if they're going to play every year, but I bet Arkansas State comes to Fayetteville in the next decade.
Well, that's what makes me laugh is just to say that's true. It's like playing a game in Little Rock, if that continues to happen, okay. And if they continue to play Arkansas State, that's okay too. It's like that would make the most sense to play that game in Little Rock, but it's not going to happen. Like Sam Pittman's not going to agree if he's the coach or whoever to play that game again in Little Rock. It's like, no, they're going to come to Fayetteville, even though if you're going to have to play Arkansas State, playing them in Little Rock may make kind of the most sense. If you have to play in Little Rock too, like if you have to do both, you might as well do both at the same time, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like don't, just get it over with all at once. Kill two birds with one stone if that's what you're going to do. But if they're going to play Arkansas State again, I'll bet dollars to donuts and ain't going to be in Little Rock. Just ain't going to be happening.
I would agree with that 1,000%. I lean more towards the idea of them playing at War Memorial again than I do Arkansas State. But I will say the percentages of this changed as soon as they moved the SEC schedule up to 9 games.
Yeah.
So now you got 9 SEC games and you have to play a power conference opponent. So you get 2 games a year that you get to schedule outside of that. Are they really going to do one of those at War Memorial? Are they really going to do the Arkansas State thing again? I'm not going to rule it out completely, but I do think it's less likely than it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever the hell they made that decision there. That does factor in.
That is a great point because I kind of forgot about that whole aspect of it. And so, yeah, I think this year, you have Memphis, Alabama A&M, Arkansas State, and Notre Dame. Obviously, if you're going with how they're going to be doing it next year, you would probably cut out the Alabama A&M game, right? Or would you cut out the Memphis game?
I guess you would cut out the Alabama or
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the Memphis terms are. I don't know what the contract would be to break it.
That's kind of, and we'll see how this plays out in the ripple effect in years. We probably won't know for a while. But me personally, because we're talking about the likelihood, I would rather them play Arkansas State in Fayetteville rather than them go to Tulsa or them go to, Memphis or go to Colorado State or whatever it is. So maybe in years future, we can really think about this and we're like, all right, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. But I don't think they're going to do like a agreed, like long-term deal. I just think there's going to be at least one more game in War Memorial unless something crazy happens.
Yeah. But I'm sure whenever it does, won't be debated and won't be talked about and won't be made a big deal out of at all, because that's just not what people do these days when it comes to these little things like this. But either way, we all know this, folks. The game is happening this weekend. Arkansas State, Arkansas, Little Rock, War Memorial Stadium, 4:00. And that's that. We're just going to have to see how it plays out. But it is for sure happening. And I know we'll have some of your chats to get to, as well as some other things. But want to remind everybody that here on the show and at Inside Arkansas, we're brought to you by our friends at Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, because this is getting closer. We're just about a little less than 2 months away from the Halloween season. And a lot of you are wanting to make sure that your house looks awesome for Halloween. It's got all the lighting and all the decorations and everything too. But let's be honest, the decorations can't be seen unless you have great lighting. So get the professionals of Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas to help you out. In the Northwest Arkansas or River Valley, they come and install the lights for you, and they are professional, and they provide all the materials. You get to choose the colors and how you want it done. If there's any pattern that you want it done, they install the lights, and they give you free maintenance throughout the holiday season. And if you sign up for Halloween lights, folks, you also get your Christmas lights for 50% off. Can't beat a better deal than that. I can promise you that. And also, too, the week of the Notre Dame game in the final week of September, we're going to be doing a free giveaway to get your Christmas lights and Halloween lights set up for free from our friends over at Walter. So give Brett a text for a free estimate of 479-459-1380. That's 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at walterchristmaslighting.com. You also scan the QR code on your screen, and it'll take you right to their Facebook page. But it's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. Okay, so a few of your chats here, folks, because we'll have some other things to dive into. Shout out to our guy, Garrett. Appreciate the super chat. He says, A-State is actually solid. We should get some answers after this week, but boy, this is a big one, even though it shouldn't be. Hogs 42-24. I mean, yeah, it's like, I'd like to sit here and say, yeah, well, no, it's going to be an easy win, nothing like that. There's no such thing. There's no such thing for Arkansas. There's no easy wins. There's going to be some crap that happens in this that's going to be stupid, and we're going to sit there and be like, why? What is happening? And the post game is going to be off the rails. There's no chance that this game just ends up being an easy 42-0 victory, clean cut, to the point, moving on. There's just zero chance that happens.
If they blast Arkansas State like that, and frankly, they should. I mean, listen, people get triggered anytime you give somebody else credit. It's like I tweeted out, I was like, wow, Auburn looks improved. And it's like, you're a dumbass. Baylor sucks. All right, my bad. But that's just kind of the way that it is. And so if you point out factually that Arkansas State has a handful of players at the skill positions who could be problematic, that's not saying that they're going to be in a 1-touchdown game with Arkansas, or they're going to beat Arkansas or whatever. But it's just something you have to account for. It's a greater challenge significantly than you faced last week. That's for sure. But if Arkansas blasts them like that, like you shut them out, put up a ton of points on them and everything, nobody's gonna look at that and be like, oh, this is a huge win to hang your hat on for Sam Pittman's tenure or whatever. But if they do that, I'm picking them to beat Ole Miss the next week. Like if I see that, like the defense, like oh, they had the shaky quarter or whatever. If they're able to contain Rayner and keep those guys from some explosive plays and limit those breakdowns, like if they shut down that Arkansas State offense and Arkansas's offense continues to do the same thing, I'm feeling pretty good going into that game. Like that is a way. Nothing that happened on Saturday would answer any questions for me, and not a lot in this game would either. But if it's a dominant defensive performance from Arkansas, then it's gonna move my needle a little bit. I'm gonna crank it up a notch in my optimism levels. I'm just telling you guys right now.
I like that. What's interesting is that I think there's a lot of people in the last 48 to 72 hours who have really, maybe they watched Arkansas State, maybe they just did a quick Google search, maybe they looked at the roster or whatever, or maybe watched some games from last year. I've noticed a growing sense from the fan base of people who are nervous about Arkansas State. They look at Jalen Raynor and they're like, holy crap, like that's an athletic quarterback that can make some plays downfield. That one receiver they have that's really good. Like they look at that and see ways that Arkansas State can threaten them. But if you look at the betting line over at with our friends over at BetSaracen, it's actually going up. It started at around 21 and a half. It's up to 23 now. I'm interested to see if that sense of the fan base starts to affect the line and maybe people start putting their money where their mouth is. I'll just say this, guys. If that line gets to 20, and if it goes below it, I will max bet Arkansas if it gets to 20. Because I think it's one of those things where, like, Arkansas State deserves respect. I mean, Butch Jones has accomplished a lot as a coach. Like, he's very overqualified for that job. Raynor's a legitimate quarterback. Like, they have a real offense. I think Arkansas State maybe almost is getting, like, too much respect from the fan base, I should say. Not necessarily by anyone nationally. I think people are like, look, I mean, as much as I've talked about Jalen Raynor, like, the dude had, like, 14 touchdowns and 12 picks last year, something like that. Like he was like a mediocre Sunbelt quarterback. I do think he's dangerous, but it's like, I think it's kind of almost corrected too much where people are too scared of Arkansas State, where it's like, hey, relax. Arkansas still should lay the smack down a little bit. Yeah.
Again, should is the key word there. Should. Shout out to our guy, Nep, for being a member for 4 months now. All right, Nep. Says WPS as always. Appreciate the content, gentlemen. You're welcome. And I'm so glad that you still have the bearded cow as your avatar.
I was just about to say, it never gets old seeing that.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. So appreciate you. Let's see some other chats here. Hey, sweet Arkansas gal's back. How about that? Happy retirement week to me. Hello, Hog fans. It's been a while. Happy retirement week to you too. Well,
she doesn't know this, but we've been talking about her behind the scenes.
Yes, we have.
You know, like, I'm not seeing as much over here. You know, she said when retirement, comes and goes, it's just gonna give her more time to tap into Inside Arkansas. And there was a while there where we were like, where is she? What's going on? What the hell? Good to see you.
We were having a conversation, like, I guess it was 2 or 3 days ago, where we were wondering, because we remember her saying she was retiring at some point. I thought it was in August, but I guess it's September. But we were like, when is that date? She should be retiring here soon. So happy to hear that. And we wish you the best and congratulations. You should soak in all these final moments of being a part of the capitalist wheel that we all are a part of.
That's right. That's right. Also, shout out to Dylan Hinson, as he says, first time watching Inside Arkansas Live as a member. I'm excited. Hey, well, we're excited as well. That this is
a completely different lens when you're a member. When you're a member, like the takes just start flowing a little bit more freely. Yeah. Just things are a little bit clearer.
That's right. Yeah, we suddenly start streaming in 4K once you get to that membership level. So makes our faces look really nice. Evan says, A-State isn't a little brother. They are a redheaded stepchild.
This is correct, by the way. I've heard a lot of people call Arkansas State little brother. Are they even little brother? And I'm not even really like making a joke here. It's not that I don't like, I definitely don't cheer for Arkansas State, but I also don't cheer against Arkansas State. Like I have never found myself caring one way or the other about anything related to Arkansas State ever. Do y'all feel the same? Like, do y'all watch Arkansas State and you're like, oh man, I don't want little brother to have success?
No.
I kind of pull for him, honestly.
In
most cases, I do. But again, like I grew up an hour from there, and my grandparents lived in Jonesboro. So every time my dad would come visit, I was there. So I went to a lot of Arkansas State Indians basketball and football games down there for sure. So I've always kind of pulled for him. My dad went there, and everything. So it's all good. But yeah, I've never looked at it as a Razorback fan and been like, I wish ill on these guys, or even really think about them that much. It's just the proximity for me where I'm like, oh, they beat so-and-so today. That's cool.
Well, my thing is like a little brother means that are related to you, right? So I don't ever see Arkansas State as any sort of relation to Arkansas. It's a little brother to me is somebody that you're superior, you're better, you're all that, but you're also kind of like overlooked and seeing like, all right, so what are they doing over here? Because I got to make sure I'm better. I got to make sure I'm better than them at all times. So I'm always going to be kind of on the corner of my eye seeing what they're doing. That's not with Arkansas State. I think the redheaded stepchild is that way, where it's like, you just kind of popped up and you're like, okay, whatever. It's everyone knows you're not us, so you just stand over there in the corner with your crayons and eating Elmer's glue and putting weird things on the wall. Just do that, and we'll be over here. So that's not how it's viewed. At least that's how I view it. Shout out to Logan. I'm glad he could become a member. Yeah, thanks, Logan. I appreciate it. About time.
You think he got? No, I guess he didn't get gifted because we didn't see that anyone got gifted. He's just on board now.
Maybe he had gotten gifted initially, and so his thing ran out. Because if someone gifts it to you, it runs out after a while.
I was gonna say I feel like he was one of the OGs. So yeah, maybe it ran out and he's back.
Well,
For you, we
because
like that.
yeah, because we also had David, who's a member for 4 months, says, I'm never going to financially recover from this. Well,
Right.
yeah, it's true. It's true.
Who is that in your profile picture, David?
That is a good question.
Maybe it's David himself.
Maybe.
Yeah, man, wouldn't that be weird? It would be.
Yeah, it used to be me, so I'm just curious as to why it's
Oh.
no longer me. And just
It got replaced. That's tough. Hey, Witty, relax, dude. He says 4K
Sunny.
shower selfies from John. Being a member has huge perks. Witty, you gotta relax, man. Come on. Lord knows I'm not taking my phone in the shower. You should know better than that. Let's see. Also,
He gave me butt paste, and I appreciate it.
Golly. Butt paste. I found that one out. Go watch last week's show if you want to know what we're talking about. How about this? Woo MF Big said John Daly went off on the defense. How about that on the buzz this morning? They put out a clip. He was not happy with the defense. It is the worst defense he's ever seen in his life. Strong take.
so I've thought about this a little bit, and I felt so. I quote tweeted it and kind of made a little snarky comment. As soon as I fired off that tweet, I was like, I hope John Daly doesn't see it and get mad at me because I do like John Daly. I want to be friends with John Daly. I've thought about this a lot though, because he jumped to the conclusion of, hey, this is the worst Arkansas defense. He said if they're going to win 7 games, they've got to score 35-40, and he predicted Arkansas to beat Arkansas State 24-17, which I thought was interesting. I've thought about this a lot. What are the chances that John Daly watched the first 2 or 3 drives of the game and then maybe lost focus a little bit and started looking at other things? So if you only watch that first drive of defense, I could see how you would come to that conclusion. And by the way, I'm not saying that Arkansas just was awesome defensively or anything, but and hell, we've been as critical of the defense as everybody. But and people agreed with him. By the way, he was not alone in this stance. I'm just surprised that people got there that quickly. But I do find it funny that nobody's ever watched a season opener and been like, "Yeah, we're all right." It's either like, "Dude, we're nasty, we're winning 11 games," or "We're horrible, worst team we've ever had."
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. Because I even said, I was like, listen, I'm not saying he could end up being right. I mean, for all we know, his defense could end up being the worst defense of all time for Arkansas. I don't think it will be, but I'm also not looking at what happened Saturday and be like, worst defense ever. It's just not that way. By the way, real quick, before we get back to the chat, saw Chris Hutchinson tweeted this about Butch Jones talking about facing Arkansas. He said, quote, "It's important that our players understand the significance of this game, the work by so many people to make this happen. Who knows if it'll ever happen again?" So there's at least a little comment about it. But it's a significant game. Hopefully they understand it. A significant game there.
Do we all agree that the players that are going to play in this game and that are ultimately going to determine who wins and loses and how it goes are not going to be thinking about any of this crap that we're talking about at all? You think Jalen Rayner back there is sitting there and he's in the pocket and he's like, God, there's a lot of Arkansans here, man. Some folks from Russellville are here. Some folks from Hope are here. We got to show out. All of these guys are motivated by things that none of us care about. They have their own ambitions, their own things to worry about. Sam Pittman even alluded to that today. Do we agree about this, though?
Yes.
This isn't really a real factor?
Yes. Yeah. The only way that any of that stuff is ever a real factor will be, if it's somebody that say was an Arkansas kid that was trying to go and be a Razorback and Arkansas said no because you suck. You should just go over there to that crappy school, Arkansas State. And then he did. And then this is his chance to show him that they got it wrong. That is literally the only case I would ever say a player really, really wants this. This means something to him. It's like that. But that doesn't happen. In fact, I think Pittman was kind of there's not a whole lot of Arkansas kids on either team at this point, at least from the in-state kids. So, but look at this, guys. It's football season. When we got an A-State guy in the chat, John Beckman said Butch Jones going to have his team ready.
Well, I hope so.
Flex emoji. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be pretty embarrassing if he didn't. That'd be bad. No matter who it's against, that would be pretty rough. That would be pretty rough. So, but anyways, I'm glad we at least have one Arkansas State fan that's coming in here and mixing it up with us a little bit too. So
I do think it's pretty sweet that it's cooler to me that Arkansas State's going to host Iowa State the next week. That Iowa State is actually going to Jones, because it's kind of funny if you think about it, where Sam Pittman's like, hell no, we'll play him in Fayetteville. I ain't going to Jonesboro. What are you talking about? Iowa State's literally going there. That's it's kind of wild.
Is this a trap game for Arkansas State? Because you got a big marquee matchup in your house next week, and you've got to play, your slightly older brother, Arkansas. Is that even really worth your time if you've got to an Iowa State game next week.
That's
People were
true.
talking.
Many are saying.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. We'll get to more of your chats and some other things too, folks. Want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas, presented by our friends over at OZK Insurance. You tired of juggling insurance companies just to find the right coverage? It's tough. It's tough trying to figure out exactly who to go with when it comes to insurance because it's extremely important. Well, don't worry, because at OZK Insurance and Rogers, they make insurance simple again. As a 100% independent agency, they shop the entire marketplace to deliver the best combination of cost and coverage, which saves you both time and money. Whether it's home, auto, boat, motorcycle, life, or commercial insurance, their friendly team has access to a wide range of flexible options designed just for you. They serve the Northwest and Central Arkansas area, including Bentonville, Centerton, Fayetteville, Little Rock, Hot Springs, Springdale, and beyond. So let OZK Insurance be the trusted advisor you never know you needed. And they have a ton of 5-star reviews, over 600 5-star reviews there on Google, which, listen, the reviews, if you don't want to take our word for it, take the Google reviews for it because they never lie. So check it out today and start with a free quote online at ozkinsurance.com, or you can call them at 479-715-4200. That's 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. All right. Let's see. Also, Logan said he has been a member for 4 months. He says, oh, it did save my progress. I was still first. Okay. Because I guess he the membership wore out and then he got back on. Yeah, that would be embarrassing if you couldn't get your cool picture back so people could know that you've been a member for a long time. So glad that you're back, man. Glad that you're.
The K stands for card declined.
Yeah, I've been there. Let's see. A few other ones too. Let's see. Austin from work says, I think we are all overreacting. Doesn't mean a lot to U of A, and it doesn't mean a lot to A State. Pretty much the same as any other non-conference this early in the season. Hogs by 90. So, okay. That's fine.
This is very fair. Like the idea that like Arkansas State's going to be very motivated for their own reasons. And hell, I think Arkansas, the players that play for Arkansas should be motivated just because you only play 12 games a year. If you're not motivated for any of them, you're kind of crazy. I do think this is fair, but I don't know what we're overreacting to exactly.
That's the only thing I wasn't quite sure about. I think so far the reactions have been appropriate.
Yeah.
From all parties, it feels like. Yeah, if people were making a huge deal out of this, it's like this mega event or whatever, then it definitely would be an overreaction.
Yeah, but I think we're handling it pretty well. Now, if you want to, if you truly want not an overreaction but an actual reaction, just watch for if Arkansas loses this game.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you'll get reactions, all right. You'll get reactions out the wazoo. There'll be certain people on this show that might be calling for the heads of everybody that ever existed at the University of Arkansas athletic program. You might. So it might be a crash out. We'll have to wait and see. So let's just don't let that happen, and we don't have to worry about it at all moving forward. Let's see. Also, Evan says, I don't like that we're treating him like a major opponent. Missouri State doesn't even play Mizzou at Arrowhead.
Are we treating them like a major opponent?
I always think
I think he means like by playing the game
right
on the neutral field like that it's trying to give off that it's something more than it is. But they play Western Carolina there too, you know.
I was gonna say they typically give, no disrespect, cover your ears, Central Arkansas. They usually give the shittiest game on the schedule to War Memorial. So I get the Arrowhead dynamic, but yeah.
I was just gonna say Sam Pittman would agree with this assessment though, which is why he's like, yeah, there's no benefit to us playing Arkansas State here. If we're gonna do it, needs to be in Fayetteville, and I agree.
War Memorial ain't no damn Arrowhead. I'll just tell you that.
Well, I get what he's trying to say though, but that's also very true.
Yeah. Honestly, that would be the game that they need to bring back is playing Missouri and Arrowhead like they were supposed to do in 2020.
Yes.
That needs to happen. That needs
somehow COVID moved the game back to a home and home.
Somehow just jumped in there and they did it for some reason. Let's see. Also, we've already talked about that one too. We'll get to some of these college football ones that you guys are bringing up here in a second, because there were some really good college football games from the weekend. Let's see. Derek says Shakur Smalls should get more run.
One of the big winners of week one, I would say, would be Shakur Smalls. And we always say, like, there shouldn't be much that changes your mind coming out of week one when you play an FCS team. So I don't know if any player we view vastly different necessarily. But Shakur Smalls is a guy that we were not talking about at all. Like he was, and frankly, the coaches weren't talking about him at all as a guy that would like push for a starting job. And I think Jordan Young is the guy that we all expect to remain the starter at nickel. But I think Shakur Smalls maybe showed him like, hey, you've got some options here we'll see if they do some stuff to get him involved. And I've wondered a few times, guys, maybe this is a perfect segue. Will Arkansas experiment with moving Jordan Young to the outside? Because he's very solid there at nickel, but you have a very clear question mark at corner, and you maybe have 2 playable nickels. I don't know.
It could be the case. Listen, there's nothing off the whatever decision they decide to make. There's always reasons that they could change it up for this week, especially given the circumstances. And hopefully everybody stays healthy this week, and you don't have to worry about any of those issues. But hey, listen, I know offensively at least they're pretty good to go. But we'll have more of our predictions and what we think is going to happen this weekend too.
It is interesting in the secondary. Yeah, like those factors that you just mentioned, and then what he was saying about like Caleb Wooden has earned more reps and more snaps out there, but they need to figure out what position to play Larry Worth at, because they're not crazy about using him as a rover all over the place. They feel like he'll be able to hit his ceiling if he can focus on one spot. But it doesn't sound like they really know where that is. They asked Sam Pittman about it, and he paused for like 30 seconds, and he was like, middle safety? but we got to see what Wooden does. And so I still don't think they know. I understand the premise of, yeah, let's find this guy a home and let him live in it. But it seems like they've got a lot of potential for moving parts there in the secondary still, for sure.
I think Larry Ward is definitely an option at nickel. And to your point, like, do you really want to move him? But I think that's probably the decision they're thinking, and they're like holding off until the last possible moment. But I could totally see that.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be, it could be a good problem to have. It doesn't have to be a bad problem to have that we're talking about it here, but it does seem very unsettled still, I guess would be the word.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not somebody that's going to be like anti doing it one way or the other, because it's so early. Like let them figure some things out. Like if we got news that they moved, Worth or moved Caleb Wood, I'm going to be like, oh, what in the world's going on here? This is absurd. Like what are we doing here? Like I wouldn't feel that way at all. By the way, guys, the AP poll came out, and Arkansas is not receiving any votes.
Is Memphis?
Memphis is, yes, they got 2.
Okay.
How about that? BYU's 100. So BYU's 26th. Auburn's 27th.
Okay.
Got Missouri there with 42 votes. UNLV, a couple more. Either way.
UNLV.
Well, not like high, but they got.
It's interesting though.
Yeah, they got 4 votes. I just saw that and I was like, oh, UNLV. Either way, because I was like, yeah, they looked like crap.
Was Florida State in the poll?
Florida State is in the poll at number 14.
Nice.
Did they move Bama to 15?
They have moved the Alabama Crimson Tide to 21.
Okay.
So, yeah. Let's see. So, as far as Arkansas opponents that they will be facing, LSU's at number 3. They have Texas at number 7. They dropped from 1 to 7. They have Notre Dame at 9. They have Texas A&M at 19. Ole Miss at 20. Tennessee at 22. And that's the opponents that you'll be paying. So,
all right.
And Auburn at 27. Honorable mention there. That's the case. So, don't worry. It'll happen one time. You'll get in the top 25 maybe. Get votes, at least at this point. Are you guys surprised that they're not getting any votes at all?
No.
Okay.
I'm not.
Nobody watched Arkansas's game on Saturday outside of the state of Arkansas. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. No one probably knew it existed, honestly. But they did play, and they're 1-0. They're 1-0 in this season.
If they start 4-0, they'll be ranked.
Yes, they better be.
If they'll be ranked.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
It would be on the road too against Ole Miss, my only caveat would be if Ole Miss loses to Kentucky or whatever this weekend and they drop out and then you beat them, maybe not, but yeah, they would at least bare minimum be knocking on the door for sure.
A bunch of people are going to lose in the next couple of weeks. You know what I mean? So it's like, who knows what those rankings look like?
That's right.
I know what's going to happen. Ole Miss is going to lose to Kentucky, and then Arkansas is going to beat the brakes off Arkansas State, and I'm going to start believing, and then they're going to lose to Ole Miss. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. It's the way it's going to happen. So, but speaking of that, I know we'll have that and a lot more. So let's get into our heavy hitters / best and worst of the weekend, since we're combining it a little bit with the 3-day weekend, and it's presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction, because we know that storms can hit unexpectedly. There was a lot of rain that happened over the past few days. Storms that did come in with the high winds and everything. Well, when that happens, you got to make sure that your roof is good to go. But you can't really call HD Roofing in the middle of a storm and be like, hey, can you come fix my roof? because that's not smart. And they're not going to do that because it's dangerous. So don't worry about having them come out during the storm because that's not going to help you. What'll help you is getting a free inspection right now to make sure when those storms hit, you're good to go. Because when you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on that professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for all of your roofing needs. And you can call them today at 501-428-0429. That's 501-428-0429. And also check out their website at hdarkansas.com. It's HD Roofing and Construction, our official sponsor of our heavy hitters, and also for today, the best and worst of the weekend. So that being said, best of the weekend, heavy hitter, however you want to put it. For me today, honestly, some of the teams that I was impressed by, there wasn't a whole lot of major surprises. I felt like guys, not to pat ourselves on the back, but we called a lot of the games pretty accurately, I felt, when it came to projecting them and everything. But when it comes to specific teams and teams that actually looked really good this past weekend, I'm sticking with a little bit of the SEC flavor. Give credit to LSU because they look good, especially the defense. The defense is, to go, I don't care what it is, in any point, to go on the road in one of the most hostile environments, which we know Clemson is very hostile, and they were number 4. For you to go in there and take that victory, and Nussmeier looking really good. I mean, he went 28 of 38 for 232 yards and a touchdown. That was big for them. That was big for them. So to me, like the teams that you had these questions of if they're going to do it or not, LSU definitely was one of the best I saw. They looked really good. And also too, I wanted to give a shout out to to Florida State as being my best, because 2-10, Bama, no one was really giving you much of a chance except for Lee Corso, mind you. He was the one guy, he got all of his picks right. But those were the 2 games I really saw of what was impressive to me, seeing LSU do what they did against Clemson, but also Florida State doing what they did to Bama. Oh man, Caleb DeBoer is already on the hot seat, boys. He's about to get fired, apparently. I don't know if that's true, but I could see him doing some crazy stuff like that. But those were definitely 2 college football performances over the weekend that were my best, or my heavy hitter for the weekend.
Yeah, that was some nasty work by Florida State there, man. Tommy Castellanos, we might need to give him his own segment just for talking that talk and then going out there and getting it done. That was wild. I don't know if anybody really saw that one coming, but no, those are really good there. I really enjoyed just watching a lot of college football. I was watching, might talk about that a little bit more later, but the Bill Belichick debut, and it was like every 10 seconds, the camera would pan onto him and he would get, if you can read lips, you read some things that would make the hair on the back of your neck stand up based on what that man was saying. Did you guys see the TCU football Twitter account? Trolling Belichick at every turn. It was electric. There's like 10 of them where they were really, really going in. That should be a heavy hitter, but I got to go with John Calipari, best of the weekend, heavy hitter, whatever, for just multiple reasons. One, the staff, they absolutely crushed it with the Caleb Holt visit this weekend. Every bit of feedback that I've gotten on that from both sides is that Arkansas did a really, really good job. They came into this in a position where maybe needed to make up a little bit of ground, or at least that was the perception with, schools like Auburn and Alabama. They did that. They put themselves in a great spot here with a 5-star guard. Now he's got to go take the visit tour and everything, but Arkansas did great over the course of the weekend. That was a slick move, getting Anthony Black in there on campus to work out with the team when you got a 5-star guard in for a visit. So that was awesome. They announced the details today at the press conference of the St. Jude's event, where they are going to play Memphis. It's going to be on October 27th instead of the 28th. It's going to be on ESPNU, by the way, for those who can't go but would like to watch it. That's awesome. That was a big thing that he wanted to do there. It's part of a doubleheader that's going to be at 8:00. Tickets go on sale September 9th, so be on the lookout for that. And then apparently in the media scrum that they had afterwards, where the coaches just kind of met with some of the folks who were there, Cal said he's trying to bring Midnight Madness back, folks. Ooh. And that excites me a lot. I can't wait to hear more details about it and what it might look like, but boys, that could be awesome. They should have done it last year. I like what they were doing with the tip-off tour and everything like that, but a little Midnight Madness action, give me that. Sign me up, man.
Please give me that. I would love. I've been dying for Midnight Madness since I was a child. I remember watching videos of Corliss Williamson and them doing Midnight Madness, seeing all these cool programs around the country. Been dying for that. Would love that. I'm all in on that. My best of the weekend is this is in this week's edition of players in college football that went to the same high school as Andrew Ellis. I told you guys about the guy that got arrested a few weeks ago. This is a much more enthusiastic and cool story. Bud Clark, y'all may not know that name, but if you are familiar with the best secondary players in all of college football, you will. He is TCU's basically their best player, team captain. He had a huge pick 6 last night. Did y'all see the penalty that he got flagged for? One of the worst unsportsmanlike conduct penalties of all time. I'm not going to play the clip because I don't want to get us demonetized, but he houses a pick 6 against Bill Belichick in North Carolina, and he sticks the ball out like this for, I'm not even kidding, less than 1 second. He's running, and he kind of lifts it up at the 5-yard line and then walks it in. 15-yard penalty. Shameful stuff, but he was also on IG Live after the game being like, Bill Belichick better call his girlfriend. Bill Belichick better call his girlfriend. So I just wanted to shout him out. Shout out to Bud Clark, an Ash Trojan representing the state, representing Alexandria well. Turned down draft opportunities to come back for TCU. And he's like kind of their guy in the secondary back there. He's their Cam Ball from a leadership standpoint. And so I'm happy for him and cool to see that. And shout out Kendall Briles, make it dialing that sucker up, man.
Yeah.
Almost like he still can coach offenses. Who would have guessed that would be the case? Real quick, I did want to throw in this other heavy hitter as well. Shout out to our guy here from Razorback Stadium, Grant, who apparently went to Hickey and Hull Law to go through a divorce. This was viral over the weekend, but I didn't see it. I was at the game, but did not see this get posted, where on the Jumbotron, as you can see at halftime, just says, "Congrats on the divorce, Grant. Plenty more fish in the sea." That's all we know. And honestly, it doesn't matter what the content or context is. I don't care. This was awesome. This is the fun stuff that you need at Razorback Stadium. You just quirky stuff, because this went viral. Everyone was talking about it. And so my heavy hitter was shouting out Grant for going through his divorce, getting it done, more fish in the sea, using Hickey and Hull Law, moving on. I appreciate it. I appreciate Arkansas having fun with this too.
Yeah. I'm glad they put it up there, man. That's good stuff. I'm appreciative of it. Good luck to you, sir. There are plenty of fish in the sea.
There are plenty of fish out there, and you can find them after you get your divorce finalized with Hickey and Hull. Also, I want to clarify this comment from Austin, because he says, y'all roasted me when I gave Briles love. No, we didn't roast you for giving Briles love. We roasted you because you were like, what would Kendall Briles have done with Mike Washington at running back? As if Mike Washington was like this crazy running back that Kendall Briles had never worked with before. We were like, he actually coached better running backs at Arkansas. That's why we roasted you, not for Kendall Briles. We've always been, I feel like the three of us have been the few Arkansas media members who don't think Kendall Briles is bad at his job.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is, in fact, I was someone that when Kendall Briles left, I was like, this isn't just a good thing. So many people were so happy about it. Like my man was averaging like 500 yards of offense a game and 36 points per game in the SEC. Yeah. Like, sorry, I felt like that's pretty good. Everyone's like, oh, but those fourth and short calls, it's just, or him trick plays and stuff. Okay, fine. Now nobody's perfect at everything, but just acting like he was Chad Morris 2.0 was just absurd. And then you saw when you replaced him, you got Dan Enos. Saw how that went. So yeah.
Exactly. Hey, we spent so much time talking about in-state stuff today, so I got to share this. John, you know what I'm talking about here. Shout out to Little Rock, man. The Trojans here for this court design. We had a Pot at the Palace episode dedicated to ranking the SEC courts. And me and John have talked about this quite a bit. There's my biggest pet peeve when people do this. It's not, oh, let me put the state in the background. Let me have the silhouette of the state wherever you're from. But it's when it looks just generic. It's like a cookie cutter. There's no clearly defined lines. If you're going to do it like this, man. That court looks, first of all, the whole design I think looks awesome. But the way they have the state of Arkansas there, the detail and everything, that is exactly what we were talking about when we were talking about the ability to do it right and make it look good. Heavy hitters over there at Little Rock. I think this looks great. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan of it.
I think it looks great. My favorite part about it is that it actually is the state of Arkansas. I recognize that. And I'm like, hey, that's the state of Arkansas. If you're going to do it, you got to put the state of Arkansas. You can't just make some egg that is shaped kind of vaguely like it, like the Razorback chipset at Mexico Viejo. Like that is not the state of Arkansas. That is just some weird logo that is not Arkansas.
that's Arkansas. Yeah, that's like me saying, okay, hey, in 5 seconds, draw the state outline. Here's a ruler and a pencil. I'm
Hey,
like, all
John,
right.
can you do me a favor? Put the Little Rock court back up there. Oh, that's Arkansas now. That's not Arkansas.
No, that's just
Man.
garbage. Like, yeah. So I agree with you. That's the, I see that, and the fact that you could even went through the effort to put the little ripples of the river, the Mississippi River, right there is really a nice gesture. So wow, amazing how that works.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Looks really good there.
And it was just, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before when they had the major flood that just completely tore up their entire court and everything. And they weren't they playing at Simmons Bank for the longest there because of that? I can't remember which, but hey, you get rewarded with a new court and that looks great. They're gonna have a good team this year too.
Yep. It does look good. We'll get to our worst. I didn't want to bring this up because our Priscilla's in here giving us some super chats for $1. Appreciate you. I didn't know you could do that because I've never seen the blue, but thank you.
I like that. I think she. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Alpha goes into made petition to bring back games to War Memorial. So
I got good news for you, Priscilla. The Arkansas Razorbacks are playing in War Memorial Stadium this weekend. You can go watch
it there. Like honestly, you know what I mean? Like walk around out there and get a bunch of signatures from tailgaters.
Oh, I don't know if she's going to, but she might. But there's going to be a bunch of people doing that. Like going down there. Because what is even? I gotta even check. I know because I'm old. What's the weather even look like this weekend down there? Is it going to be a nice day? Is it going to be a little bit on the warmer side? Let's see.
Feels like we're just in nice weather.
Rain and storms. 75 degrees, 45% chances of storms. So
skip the storms and it'd be awesome.
Yep. But again, it's like, because Andrew, I know you were out there, but I remember we were talking about the game this past weekend, which I'm not complaining about the weather, but it was definitely a lot hotter than what it, kind of opened.
Was supposed to be.
Yeah. Like it was supposed to, I kept remember looking, I was like, 76 degrees. Perfect. And then that sun gets you on, you're like, I am dying. I am dying over here.
It cracked me right as the game was kicking off. The sun was beaming, and like right next to the sun was like the biggest rain cloud you've ever seen in your life. That just like missed the sun. I don't know, the angle didn't quite right, but it was kind of like that throughout the first half, where it was like on and off. Some moments it'd be like, oh, cold for a little bit, and then it'd be hot. It's like crap. And then by the second half, it felt good once it got overcast. But yeah, it was supposed to be a little bit more overcast.
Yeah, wasn't enough though. Wasn't enough. Okay. Also. Some people are giving their heavy hitters, and we'll get to that. But we'll do our worst of the weekend real quick because there is a few of those, and then we'll get to those for you as well. But worst of the weekend, as far as in the college football landscape, I mean, there's a lot to choose from because there was some pretty nasty looking stuff out there. But like North Carolina last night, good grief! I mean, that was disgusting. That was abysmal in what was happening to them. But even in the sake of some of the games we brought up, like Alabama, for instance, I did not expect that, and that was an upset, whatever. But the Texas Ohio State game, guys, this was my worst of the weekend. It's like I was not big on Arch Manning. I did not think Arch Manning was going to be the greatest thing ever, like some people try to make him out to be. But I also think it's stupid to take what happened for him against Ohio State, which he wasn't good, but just immediately be like, trash, garbage, this kid sucks. It was just too big of the moment for him. I'm like, you go out as a starting quarterback for your first time as a perennial starter against the defending champs in their arena, in their stadium, and try to perform really well. Like, I don't know how many quarterbacks would have walked right in and performed at a high level. And I just thought it was really stupid. The overreactions, what we talk is like I felt like I became the defender almost of Arch Manning when I was one of those, like, hey, everyone just relax. And then now all of a sudden I'm like, hey, people, lay off. The kid's it's his first game. So I just think that the overreactions from that was really bad. I hate both teams, but there was something a little satisfying about seeing Texas lose in the way that they did. 14-7. It wasn't really exactly a bang up game, but at least there was that. And I just thought the reaction towards Arch Manning was a little bit over the top, and people just saying that they're cooked and they're terrible and all those things. Again, overreaction on that side. I think he's going to be just fine. He's Arch Manning.
Yeah, I still have a feeling Texas is going to make the college football playoff. I mean, I still think they're really good. And you're right. Like, that's Had Arch Manning gone out there and thrown for 303 touchdowns or something, then everything would have been true. But I don't know that was just a fair or reasonable expectation for your first start in a place like that. I will say though, when you have, like more NIL commercials for yourself during the broadcast than you do complete passes for a majority of the game, like it's
Tough.
You have now officially opened yourself up to that kind of scrutiny and criticism there. And I did actually, I don't feel bad about it at all. I laughed a lot about the comparing Arch to Bronny James stuff that was out there. And just like some of the things they put out there, they're like, what are the better arches? And it was like the McDonald's, like the golden arches, and there's some really high quality work there that I got a kick out of at his expense. I will admit it.
Some Uncle June memes of my nephew running things. Not in this lifetime. Like some of those things are very good. Here's the thing. Arch Manning, and I've kind of felt this way for the longest, going into the year, and I think we all kind of were on the same page that we never bought that Arch was this generational prospect, but our stance was mostly that Texas was so good that it wouldn't matter, that he really just needed to be game manager Arch, which I think is still accurate. He just failed to even be a game manager the other day, which is why they lost the game. If he had simply been able to complete the wide open passes, like even on that 3rd and 5 on the last possession, if he's able to complete that, Texas has a real chance to win the game. You know what I mean? If he just kind of isn't completely horrible, and he was completely horrible in that game, and so that's why they lose. I think more often than not this year, he is not going to be completely horrible. He is going to be able to just kind of throw to wide open targets, dink and dunk, game manage. Texas will have the boys on both sides of the ball to beat whoever they play. So I think, again, yeah, we're probably going to hear from Texas. We're probably going to hear from Arch again, but the kid himself, who I agree, if you're going to be, if you're in the Manning family, we're going to look at you. We're going to talk about you. If you're going to sign these $5 million NIL deals, people are going to talk about it. So I don't feel bad for him in any, in that stance, but he absolutely was set up to fail by people. And by the way, when he was in high school, people forget this. When Arch was going into his senior year of high school, the Manning family did not let him go to camps. They did not want people to see him throw a football because he was billed as this 5-star guy, and they knew he was not that. Everyone who was in the state of Louisiana who watched him play against, Class C schools knew he was not like this guy that was ready to go in and dominate. He was never going to come in and start as a true freshman. They kind of knew that he wasn't good, but kind of buried it because they didn't want people to find out. And all these weird observers at 24/7. Hell, I remember talking to Danny West about this, and he was like, dude, I've talked to people who know that he sucks, but they will write stories and say that he doesn't suck because it's kind of just this thing that we all have to do. We all have to kind of play this song and dance. And when you do that, the media hype and it all kind of comes and blows out of proportion, and then you have what you have here. The funniest part about this is that he's not a bad quarterback, or he's not going to be a horrible college quarterback, but he's not this super talented guy that's rough around the edges. The best version of him is being a guy like Garrett Nussmeier, a smart, fast operator who gets the ball out quick, does game manager things. So it is just kind of funny to watch people try and contextualize this because everyone is so off base in what they are expecting of Arch Manning, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just people overreacting. And again, who knows? We'll see what the season holds. He's still got 11 games, and I think Texas is going to be just fine. So, you guys,
I was just gonna say, at the end of the day, when you play in a game every week in college or every year in college football, there's a week 1 game that is that big. There's always going to be that. I mean, hell, last year it was Cade Klubnik, who actually is that this year, where he sucked in the big game of the week this year again.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be that way, and it's just sometimes I think people are so apt to crown somebody. I'm not saying it's the exact same example, but I always think of Kenny Hill or Kenny Trill because he was post Manziel and they played South Carolina game 1 and he lit them up and everyone's like, oh my goodness, this is a Heisman, number 7 in the country. And then he ended up not being that great. Just let it play out first. Let it play out first and then we can get into that. So, all right. So you guys got any worst for you?
Yeah, I've got 2. One, RIP to the legend, Palmer Calipari.
Yeah.
Sad news, man. Losing the doggo there. That's tough, man. Dogs are part of the family and everything. And it was kind of a running bit there, with his wife and everything. She, catch the videos of Cal walking the dog around. He was infamously had the dog in the stroller when Kentucky media in Lexington approached him about the Arkansas job and, leaving and everything like that. So the dog was a legend, man. So I was sad to see that. And, it's not easy on a family. So well wishes to him and everything there. But also, and it's kind of a best worst combo here, but how about best Joey Aguilar at Tennessee / worst Nico Iamaleava's debut at UCLA? Like just the way that entire thing went down and they were effectively traded for one another. And Aguilar goes out there and looked pretty darn good and led Tennessee to a convincing win against a Syracuse team like nobody's going to write home about, but they're solid. I mean, they'll probably go 8-4 or something. So that was a pretty impressive performance on his part. A guy who showed up, after spring and had to, learn this Josh Heupel offense. But then Nico, he's trying to make a bunch of money. Oh, pay me $4 million to stay at Tennessee, whatever. He leaves. He downgrades his situation by going to UCLA. He downgrades his NIL money because he's not making anywhere near what he thought he was going to. And then his debut, he goes 11 of 22 passing for 136 yards and a pick, and they get the hell beat out of him by Utah there. So tough scenes for Nico. The grass is not always greener on the other side, folks.
That's right. No, that did my heart well for some random reason. I don't know why. Just was nice to see. So
nationally, we were all kind of like looking at that one, like kind of just licking our chops a little bit, right? So my worst of the weekend kind of goes off of the theme of the Arch thing, but also just what we spoke about early in the show of week one is such a overreaction time period. So I understand why, it's football season. It's college football season. The season opened up. So now people who never talk about college football are now talking about college football. I understand why it happens, but it always kind of bothers me a little bit. And I hate when it's baseball season and it gets to May and people that I have never seen tweet about Arkansas baseball are all of a sudden like, hey, how about Arkansas? It rubs me the wrong way then. Again, I understand it, but I always am like looking at this kind of stuff and love to make fun of people silently about this kind of stuff. So I want to read y'all some hilarious tweets from some national college football reporters known for their college football reporting. Colin Cowherd, he tweets this out Saturday morning. Clemson and Bama roll, Texas close. I'm going to sit down for the next 10 hours and eat several large sandwiches. That's actually pretty funny. But just completely 0 for 3. He followed up with one that I assume is somewhat joking, but he tweeted it right after the first drive of UNC. He says, wasn't really sure what to expect from Chapel Bill, but after that drive, I have him as the second best college coach I've seen just below Saban. And Skip Bayless also, after that first drive, hits off a, wow, Belichick has a national championship offense. Heels just shredded the Frogs defense. He followed up a few minutes later with TCU is about to get blown out. Too much MJLT, about to get mossed. What do any of these things mean? I don't know. I mean, obviously Michael Jordan and Lawrence Taylor were there. But yeah, then he ended up backtracking later and he was like, oh, Bill Belichick's defense getting exposed again. Familiar story or whatever. And it's just hilarious watching these people who like 364 days out of the year never talk college football. But then like today, they're just like, you know what? Let me fire off these takes as if I've just been tapped in and following and, all this.
Yeah. See, that's it's not the same, but it kind of made me think of over on Saturday when I said, I think I tweeted out after Arkansas's first drive, I was like, man, I love a Bobby Petrino offense because it looks so clean and crisp. And then right after I said, but this Arkansas defense though, because of their next drive, I had so many people coming up be like, bro, they gave up 7 points. Like, relax. I'm like, I tweeted that at the time. Like at the time of that, look at the timestamp. But that I feel like happens a lot. But yeah, if you're going out to those takes though of national championship and Chapel Bill, get out of here then.
Well, John, if you had after the first offensive drive, if you had tweeted out and been like, wow, this kind of confirms it. Arkansas's offense is one of the best in the country.
Yeah.
That would have been stupid. If you would have after the first drive been like, yeah, this is a historically bad defense we've got here. It's like, why is it in our society that we have to find the most dramatic possible viewpoint? And we're like, this is either the worst or best thing we've ever seen in the world. It's not just a thing that happened in a game. It's not just a 3rd and 4 that got converted for 5 yards. It's always got to be life or death. The universe is on the line.
Yep. Always.
Hey, can we just very quickly add one more best of the weekend or heavy hitter? I know we're several days removed, but I feel like it needs to be said. Not only was I thought the tribute and everything that went down with Lee Corso really awesome there, but then he nailed it with his picks. I mean, nailed it. What a way to go, man. That was electric, really cool. I loved everything about that, and I love that he was just very, very right on all his predictions the last time through there.
Well, especially the Florida State one, because he was the only one on that island. Like, it's one thing if you're like, oh, I think Arkansas is going to beat Alabama A&M. It's like, oh, but to actually go out on a limb and be the only one that called it, that was pretty cool. That was really great. Nicely done. Yeah. We'll get to our final segment here, get to your chats, folks, but want to remind everybody that Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas, I know that summer's starting to wind down, but that doesn't mean that you can't still get out on the water. The water doesn't shut down. In fact, a lot of cases, some of those cruises that you take in the fall, especially with the beautiful trees and the fall colors and of the leaves changing and all that, especially with the weather, it comes at the perfect time for all of you. And Freedom Boat Club of Arkansas is still going to be having it set up for you to not have to worry about the commitment and the hassle of dealing with your own boat. They're going to be able to get you one when you're a member of Freedom Boat Club. They have, of course, at Greers Ferry Lake, Lake Hamilton, or even a day on the river in Little Rock. And they also are going to have new locations opening up across the state because there's a lot of great lakes here, and they are not stopping there. It's the fastest growing club when it comes to boating here in the state of Arkansas. So become a member today. Be sure to text Inside Arkansas, those two words, Inside Arkansas, to 501-270-6477 to get 50% off your initiation fee. It's that simple. So make this fall a lot of fun and check out the beauty of all the things that happen here on the lakes in Arkansas for this fall weather. You can also check out their website at freedomboatclubar.com. All right, so we'll go ahead and get to some of your chats as well as some other things. I want to play this, guys, real quick. I don't even know if before we get to the chats, I have not watched this, but this was one of my favorite rants of all time. Apparently, Mike Gundy did a commercial redoing his rant from "I'm a Man, I'm 40." And Brett McMurphy just tweeted it out. I have no idea what to expect, but I want to play this before we get to the chat because I really hope it's as good as what the original yelling about was before previously.
Coach, any changes coming this week?
Yeah, I'm going to make some cuts. Look, Big Wireless wants to come after me. I'm a man. I'm not 40. I'm 58. Why would I overpay when I can get consumer sailors, unlimited plan, 2 lines, $30 each? Fast, reliable coverage, 2 lines, $30 each. That's all I got to say. Big Wireless makes me want to puke.
Could have been better. Just going to say. But I just wanted to play that. Also, the guy asking the question, you guys would know. Did that sound like Trey Biddy to you? Because that sounded like Trey Biddy to me asking a question. I'll replay just the question. Y'all tell me if I'm tripping balls over here.
Yeah, Coach, any changes coming this week?
Is it all about Trey Biddy at all?
You had me at the coach. Then after that,
maybe why.
Yeah, the first word. It was like,
maybe that's what I'm thinking because he says, "Yeah, coach," like that. So okay, that's, as long as I wasn't completely crazy. But either way, could have been better, coach. Could have been better. That's for sure. Okay, so getting to some of your chats. Let's see. Sweet Arkansas gal says Texas lost. Yeah, baby, they sure did.
Always a good day.
Yes. Also, Vince for me says, is Miami that good or is Notre Dame that beatable? Yeah, because that was a game we didn't bring up.
Miami was top 10 in the country coming into that game playing at home. I think they're very good. They're certainly very, very talented. I don't know if I'd use the word that beatable.
That's
with Notre Dame. I was actually really impressed with Notre Dame, even though they lost. But they're beatable. It wouldn't be a crazy thing if Arkansas got it done there. But I don't look at that loss personally and think any different about Notre Dame. I think they're a really damn good football team.
With you 100%. Like I didn't come away from that game being like, man, they are super beatable. Obviously, they are beatable. They just got beat. But I do think Miami's good. I was low on Miami coming into the year. They impressed me. They look pretty good. But yeah, I think Notre Dame's still going to be pretty tough, especially because they're going to have a few weeks to play. But I think the Hog fans that were not scared of Notre Dame going into the year are certainly not going to be scared of them now.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Chandler says if you become a member, you get access to the Inside Arkansas OnlyFans page. Pretty good stuff on there. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, OnlyFans. It's the only place that our streaming service doesn't allow just yet. But once we do, we'll let everybody know. You can get in on that. Let's see. Also, Hermile says, I listen to Inside Arkansas live while showering. Whatever you got to do, man. As long as you listen, that's fine. We got, let's see, heavy hitter. I wanted to bring this up too real quick. David said, my heavy hitter is that kid from BYU. Dear Lord, that man had a family. I'm trying to see which specifics from the guy from BYU he's referring to.
The only thing I knew about BYU is that freshman that wore number 47.
Was there a big hit or something, I guess?
Must have been. Oh, okay. I think I know what he's talking about. If it's because I did see a huge hit over the weekend. I think it was BYU. So if that's the case, yeah. And that was a really good one. I have to go back and watch that. Also, Papa said heavy hitter for me was the Bruce Pearl tweet after the Bama loss. I did not see that one.
Oh, dang. I didn't see that. I had to look that up.
Yeah.
If he's trolling Bama, that's good work on Bruce Pearl's part.
Yes, it is. Because listen, there was a lot of those trolls coming out, which was pretty great. So I'm all for it. Also, to see, like this from Finch. He's like, not gonna lie, freaking Curtis had me wanting to cry when he enlightened us that he heard my boy Billy still can't shoot. Heck, still let it cry, typing it out.
I mean, what did you expect him to? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was talking about just some of the stuff we've been hearing on the pod at the Palace, and this did not come from practice, by the way. It came from somebody. You know, they were going traveling across the country the last few weeks there at some of those showcase events. It was like the Jason Tatum thing or whatever, but from somebody who had played against him quite a bit there. But he said that Carter and Billy are both going to be really, really good this year, but that Billy still can't shoot. So
well, there you go.
We'll see.
Sorry that he had to make you cry. Also, let's see. Hunter, you're a chief, says, does Dave Van Horn announcement on Gabe Gackle not getting any fall pitching reps mean for concern about pitching depth?
So, one, no is my simple answer, but I also, like, we can talk about the Gabe Gackle thing because they've done this before. They did it with Hagan. He didn't throw a pitch in the entire fall. He only threw in like 1 or 2 innings worth of scrimmages leading up to the season. Seems like they're going to do another thing. It's, you know, they want to take care of him. He threw this summer. He threw a ton of innings. He threw a ton of innings down the stretch. You know, his workload in Omaha was pretty vast. They just want to take care of their guy. That's clearly their ace. They don't want to, you know, take any chances with him. And they want to get some other guys some looks. He talked a lot about wanting to give a lot of guys, they're going to do their scrimmages a certain way where they maybe will play 3 innings, take a 20-minute break, play 3 more so that some pitchers can get that opportunity to go through a starter's routine, show in that kind of setting. I don't think there's a correlation here between Gabe Gackle and them taking care of him and Arkansas's pitching depth. In fact, I'm confident there is no correlation. I think it's just something they're doing to take care of Gabe. Now, we can talk about pitching depth because that's, you know, a factor of the team, but the Gabe Gackle move is not related to that in any way, shape, or form. And I'm looking forward to seeing how some of these other arms look in their opportunities this fall.
Also, Camel Hog just says, Andrew Dave Van Horn said Dietz has been pitching as well as ever. Thoughts?
He has. He's even, you know what, Dave, actually, he slipped it in at the very end. He said, who knows? Maybe Dietz might join that starting rotation, which I'm not predicting and I'm not forecasting in any way, shape, or form. But again, it speaks to how talented the kid is that they still are like talking themselves into this vision. I spoke about him on the podcast the other day because I feel like everyone missed it. His first 2 or 3 outings in the Cape went disastrously wrong. He had one where it was like he got 1 out and gave up 5 runs or something like that. And I remember in that moment kind of being like, okay, like it's just not working out. But then he started rattling off a few outings, and his last 3 or 4 outings in the Cape, you know, got 5 outs, struck out 3, and pitched 2 innings, struck out 4, and like started having some good outings. And Dave said today they were looking at his metrics and they were just going straight up. Every time he would pitch, he'd get a little bit better. His velo was starting to come back. That was the big thing that jumped out. When we saw him pitch against Tennessee, he was like 92 to 94. And if he's 92, 94, very different conversation than if he's 97 to 99. And so I'm interested in Dietz. I'm looking forward to seeing him getting some opportunities. But the big thing with him is it's mental. He just needed to go out there and get some reps, go out there and pitch, feel what it's like to get guys out, you know, not have every time he's pitched 3 innings in his career at Arkansas. Every time he pitches, it's the end of the world. It's a big deal. Oh, crap, Hunter Dietz is pitching. He needed to go out there and have some low stress, middle of the summer innings. And I hope he gets some opportunities this fall and looks okay. But it's exciting, but I'm not going to freak out just yet.
Well, also, too, yeah, if you had a chance to watch the Dave Van Horn press conference, be sure to do so. It's on our Inside Arkansas page. Check out around the 26, 27-minute mark. Really interesting comments there made by old Dave. But yeah, be sure to check it out too. So, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
Good to be back, even though we spent a lot of time talking to each other over the course of the weekend. But I'm not super upset about not having a Monday show on Labor Day, but it's nice to be back with you guys today. So appreciate everybody for rocking with us, and make sure you stay locked into everything we got going on. Pod the Palace, it rolls on. Dudley's Recruiting Podcast got going today. Make sure you check that out. Bombastics, all those things. Watch them, listen to them. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a never-ending flow of content here at Inside Arkansas, and I say that not even jokingly. Like, I mean, you just check our channel, there's a lot going on. I mean, after the game, there's nobody in the state that put out 10% of the amount of content that we put out, let alone the quality, man. I'm really proud of the work that we did over the weekend. I'm proud of just everything we have going on. Excited about Dudley's Recruiting Podcast. It's awesome, man. I'm excited for this time of year, football season. Baseball's just around the corner. Friday, I get to go to Bomb. Like, there's just a lot going on. It's easy to be a pig these times of year.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of content that's going to be happening here at Inside Arkansas. So be sure to subscribe to us and everything that we have going on as football rolls, and it's nonstop from here on. I mean, the academic year for University of Arkansas and athletics, it's going to be a grind, but it's going to be awesome, and we appreciate everybody tapping in and appreciate everybody being a part of it. So be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas. You can follow our podcast on audio form wherever podcasts are found. You can also check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas, and we're going to keep it moving through this week. So be sure to do all those things. And I'll do it for us. Brand Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, as well as our producer, Cameron. I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.